Thank you, and let me just say first of all that I'm delighted that this event is in fact taking place. The fact that we've been able to bring our two different worlds to some extent together around our respective evaluations to focus on the future, the challenge of exploring together really how we can move forward on the environmental sustainability agenda in coming years. It was fantastic idea to start with. I believe it came from Dr. Cheryl, I'm not sure, but the fact that we're here together I think is great, and it's a unique opportunity for all of us, so thank you very much. I will just say a few words before introducing the distinguished panelists on my two slides. Basically, you know, as we think about the way forward, we can choose between two approaches. One is the serious, meticulous, but somewhat perhaps tinkering approach of, okay, let's look at these recommendations from the evaluation, try to determine what are the specific things we can take forward, and how can we strengthen our performance on some of the specific parameters identified in the evaluation. So of course, that's extremely important, and we all should be doing it, and we should all try to ensure that in coming years we really improve our overall effectiveness and performance in regards to those very sound recommendations. But there's a bigger picture here, and Kamal Dervish basically talked about that bigger picture, and we've all made reference to that bigger picture. The first slide that Cheryl showed on the screen categorically told all of us what we already know, namely that it's not going that well out there. The environmental trends are generally speaking on the downward direction, and despite all of our multilateral efforts over the years, the fact of the matter is that it doesn't add up to change in the right direction, to overall progress, as opposed to continuing to see a deterioration of some of the environmental along the key environmental dimensions or indicators. So I would actually proceed to do something unprecedented here. I'm going to suggest that I'm President Bush, and you are Hank Paulson and Ben Bernanke, my fellow panelists, as well as all of you. And you know, we have basically tried to address the crisis that has been unfolding for some weeks. We tried to figure out what to do with Lehman Brothers. Well, first it was Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, AIG, took bold steps to deal with the problems. They only got worse. And in the end, we had to come up with some rather unprecedented responses to the overall challenge. And even when we did some very unprecedented things and got a $700 billion package passed through Congress, and even when all the federal or all the central banks of the key countries around the world actually coordinated an interest rate cut, not even that was quite enough. And we've seen how the snowball has been rolling in terms of the ability of decision makers to take action when it's really necessary. And perhaps we are finally starting to see a response from the markets that can give a bit of comfort to worried people all over the world. And we still don't know really if it's going to work or not. I think you can safely make the argument that what we're faced with when it comes to the environmental threats and challenges around the world, where of course climate change is a very central threat. It's not the only one, as Cheryl said. And one can safely make the case that piecemeal is probably not going to work either. And following up on all the recommendations of these excellent evaluations is probably not going to do the trick either. So what would in fact be the equivalent response at the global level if you were the Hank Paulsons and Ben Bernankes of global environmental governance? Of course we're not, and nobody is, unfortunately, but still, put ourselves in those gentlemen's shoes and think for a second, what on earth are we going to do? How can we in fact think about a response that builds upon what we have, but at the same time does take the necessary steps to make what we have work in a new and different world, and in fact complements it in such a way that we can bring trust and some degree of comfort back into the minds of people, of citizens around the world, that we are actually up for the task. Maybe it's unfair to throw that in your face just like this, but I was sitting at the table here and thinking, yes, indeed, we should implement all these recommendations, but we all know that it's not actually not going to amount to the kind of response that the world needs right now if we are really serious about stabilizing the climate over the coming decades, if we're going to reverse degradation of key environmental resources, be it on land, be it in the oceans, etc., etc. So we are in fact faced with a crisis that is at least as serious as the overall global financial and economic crisis, and lo and behold, the two are actually in many ways interlinked. So with that, I have the pleasure of introducing first Her Excellency Maria Fernanda Espinosa, Ambassador of Ecuador to the United Nations. And you will first speak to us from your perspective in terms of the implications of the future of what we have been talking about today. You, by all means, feel free to say whatever you want, but to the extent that you can think about the big picture that I was trying to put on the table for discussion, obviously at least I would be very happy. I'm not sure if everybody would be equally happy, but I think we need all the advice we can get right now. After you speak, we will be hearing from Rob van den Berg, Director of the Evaluation Office for the Global Environment Facility. Over to you.